Hello, and thank you for joining me. I'm Debbie Chesmaybe, your host for AZ Illustrated Arts. Tonight, meet some local watercolor artists who are taking time to stop and paint the roses.
It's not painting realistic, it's painting your impressions of what you feel and the light and the different colors and things that you can add to it.
Find out how sidewalks can become a canvas for real street-level art. Meet a Tucson drama teacher who's been recognized as one of the best educators in America.
My class is about getting kids up on stage and getting them to drop their inhibitions, find who they really are inside, and be confident in that.
Plus, music from Domingo deGrazia. And local kids deliver one of the most important speeches in history. But first, today's top stories.
A new report from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base shows the facility had a nearly $1 billion impact on the Tucson economy last year. When the impact of area Air Force retirees is added in, the base has a $1.4 billion impact on the Metro Tucson area. The base employs more than 10,000 people, making it one of the largest employers in the area. Of the more than 7,000 active duty personnel working at DM, 75% live off base. Davis-Monthan officials put together an economic impact report every year. Top Air Force brass were on Capitol Hill today defending their decision to mothball the A-10 aircraft. 80 of those planes are based at Davis-Monthan. In both the House and Senate Armed Services Committees, the top officers in the Air Force praised the A-10 but said cutting the program is a financial decision that saves the Department of Defense $4 billion. Those top officials said even if the money for the program is restored, the A-10 is not their top priority. Tucson Congressman Ron Barber spoke out strongly in committee against the mothballing of the plane. He and Senator John McCain also held a news conference today, calling on the Air Force to keep the A-10 flying. And Arizona Secretary of State Ken Bennett filed paperwork today to run for governor, making him the first person to officially file that paperwork. Bennett turned in signatures and more than enough $5 contributions to qualify for the August Republican primary. He's running as a clean election candidate. 6 other Republicans also have active campaigns, but they haven't qualified yet. And that's a look at tonight's headlines.
The Sonoran Desert is famous as a source of artistic inspiration, which means the urban landscape can be overlooked. Next, Luis Carrion visits with artists who find beauty in some unexpected places.
We're at St. Philip's in the Hills. And I'm trying to put that in my painting because I want somebody to know where I was. And of course, the trees brought us out today. That's why we're here. I'm looking at something that is just unusually beautiful. We have a wonderful group of summer here today. It's not a great big group, but we get together every Tuesday and paint. So my family has always been artistic, and my dad was a painter. When he had chance, he was a farmer in California, in Ventura, Oxnard area. Well, I always have my easel. I have 2 of these. They've been a long way, as you can tell, if you really take a look at it. They're not falling apart yet. I keep putting them back together again, but they're beaten up because I like to stand up and paint, and I need an easel to do it. I keep it in my car all the time. My car is my studio because I paint outside. Plein air painting is what we do.
Well, this is St. Philip's Episcopal Church in the Hills, and as I walked in from the parking lot, I saw this beautiful courtyard with the flagstone coming down from the back, and the roses in the barrels, and all the beautiful colors. And natural surroundings, the soil and the blue sky in the background makes a beautiful setting for a watercolor painting. My name's Martha Heath. I'm, you would call me a lifelong painter. I started in grade school making little Jeeps for the little boys that were interested in World War II. So they would always ask me to paint a Jeep or something like that. But then I went on and got busy with raising a family and didn't get back to my watercolor till I was in my 50s. Whenever I go on a paint out, I make notes. I will often take it with me on journeys when I even travel, so then I never forget where I've been and what I've painted, and some of the little details that I write down about the place that I am in at that time. So that's my favorite way of capturing it in the moment.
So I always have a passion for painting. I love the outdoors, and I discovered that they kind of go together, you know, and I started out, my husband and I used to travel before kids together, and he played classical guitar, and I would paint at the same time, and we paint all over the West, and so I started plein air painting before I even knew there was such a thing as plein air painting. My name is Martha Pankratz, and I've always painted. When everyone asks me, when did I start painting, I always say, I don't remember not painting. Of course, I retired, and I was able to start really painting. And I was a librarian for 34 years, but I always painted. I love to sit outside, and I love to be at one with nature. It's a spiritual type of thing when you're painting. And it's not painting realistic, it's painting your impressions of what you feel in the light and the different colors and things that you can add to it. I am actually one of the youngsters in this group.
Well, watercolor is interesting because when you put the water on your paper and you mix two pigments together, you get some surprising, beautiful colors that you're never able to duplicate exactly again. And that's what I love about it. It's so spontaneous.
This year, I don't quite know what happened, but I think we had rain in the early winter, and there's something about that has made everything really bloom for the spring. Even though they say we're in a drought, that little shot of water made this happen. And so we're out, and it won't last very long. These trees will probably start dropping. If they haven't done it already, in a week or 2 weeks, they'll be gone. So you have to get out there and do it while they're there.
There are few forms of expression more ephemeral than chalk on a sidewalk. Next, Matt Eric shows how a creative group gathered at Park Place Mall and made art seem like child's play.
This is the third annual Park Place Chalk Art Festival. It's a spectacular showing of local artists throughout the state of Arizona, as well as a business support for the arts. The event was conceptualized as a creative way to do that, to attend the mall, but also have a spectacular experience outside of just shopping. Chalk is definitely something that it's a growing art form around internationally. So this is kind of a way to bring it to the locals here in Southern Arizona. Anyone could participate, emerging, established artist from any background or type of art specifically.
I'm Gina Rovato, and I've been a professional mural artist for about 20 years. Today I'm doing a portrait of Frida Kahlo. She was a famous female artist back in the early 1900s out of Mexico. She had a very painful life, and even through her pain she created beautiful pieces, and so that's kind of one of the reasons I chose her and one of the reasons I love her.
My name is Wesley Fawcett Cree. I'm an artist based in Tucson, Arizona. A lot of my work tends to be driven by social commentary or political commentary, and I like to do these events so I can kind of take a break from that and just focus on making a beautiful image. And in this case, you know, the image is a tribute to summertime or springtime in the desert when the saguaros are blossoming. I just think nature provides us with such beauty and such extravagance that we don't really need to look much further, or I don't tend to look much further. The hardest part is figuring out the mechanics and subtleties of the chalk medium, because normally I'm a painter. I start with a sketch. Then when I arrived here, the first thing I did was do an 8x6 square grid on the floor. So it translates directly from the sketch onto the surface.
The hardest part for me has been the size and being on the ground like this. I'm used to working on walls, so it's kind of hard on the body, and getting the perspective right when you're looking at down is also a little challenging. My favorite part is interacting, I think, with the people. Usually I'm painting in, people's homes, or I don't get a little audience, so that's been fun.
I really get a lot out of letting kids watch me work, because I can see how inspired they get, and I remember as a kid myself how inspired I'd get watching artists work.
We have kids ages 2 all the way to 80 participating in their own signature murals. Over 3,000 children have participated in the murals over the course of 2 days.
Artists do what they do because they feel good doing it in the moment. And we get satisfaction from having pieces that last, but most of all we do it because it feels good in the very moment that we're making stuff.
The fact that they're not permanent it's kind of cool, because you think, it's almost like people are going to view this and then it'll rain and be gone. Kind of like music.
All the murals will be on display for up to 45 days following the event, so you can come experience this for a long time after this weekend.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, Gwen Ifill explores the legacy of the Civil Rights Act, 50 years after the landmark legislation. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
Kristen Wiig was known for her comic characters on Saturday Night Live. In her new movie, Hate Ship, Love Ship, she's a lonely caregiver, but maybe that's not so different.
People have said to me in regards to things that I've done on SNL, I like that character. Oh, she's so sad.
I'm David Green. Kristen Wiig on the next Morning Edition from NPR News.
Shrinking budgets mean many school arts programs have been cut or eliminated altogether. Despite that, educators will still go the extra mile to challenge and engage their students. Because of my son's interest in theater, I met his drama teacher, Art Almquist, at Tucson High Magnet School. He was voted one of 6 Teachers of the Year in a nationwide search by People magazine. With the interview, here is Mark McLemore.
Art Almquist, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about this recognition you just received.
Well, I was named one of People Magazine's Teachers of the Year, and it was just an extraordinary, extraordinary thing.
Did you depend on the support of your students to get that honor?
Absolutely, absolutely. What happened was I applied for it. In People Magazine, there was a page one day that said, "Do you think you're a good teacher? Apply for recognition." So I said, why not? So I did and forgot about it for a couple of months. And the next thing I knew, I got a phone call from the editor, one of the editors, and she said, "You're in the running." And she did an hour-long interview with me. And then over the course of a couple of months, there were more interviews over the phone and more emails. And then finally they said, "You are a finalist. And now you're a finalist for what's called the People's Choice Teacher of the Year." And I had to, they put up a website, and I had to get people to go to that website and vote for me. So it was a little strange because it's sort of like, "Hey, would you vote for me for this award?"
Self-promotion is often awkward. Yeah.
Absolutely. But my students and the whole school, they were so excited about it. So, and this is, people talk about, all the kids today with their phones, but I was very glad because there were literally, we would take time every day and I would say, "Okay guys, while I'm taking roll, you can have your phones out and vote if you feel like it." And they did, and it was wonderful.
So you were making social media work for you.
Absolutely. Instead of against it, I was working with it.
Well, if you look at the other finalists from around the country, they're educators with a lot of academic credentials there.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel about your position being a teacher who does an elective? Contrast a little bit about the demands of your job as opposed to a teacher who's doing pure academics.
Oh, absolutely. All of us are in, I call it the trenches. We're all in the trenches of teaching because we love kids and we want to work with kids and ultimately make the world a better place. We just all have different subjects that get us to that point. And mine is drama. And it's different from an elective or an academic class because my class is about getting kids up on stage and getting them to drop their inhibitions, find who they really are inside, and be confident in that. As actors, we have to understand the emotional life of a character that we play, and for a kid or an actor to do that, you have to do that for yourself. I think I may have gotten looped in that sentence there, but that's the idea.
Well, what I come away from that thinking, though, is that working with drama students of a high school age, you've got a real petri dish of emotions and drama going on right there in front of you.
Absolutely.
So how do you find a way to focus that sort of behind the scenes trench drama that's going on with what you want to have happen on stage?
Well, what's interesting is students, teenagers, I love the age group because they really are young adults. I get to do work with them that deals with real emotion. We do plays about tragedy, we do plays about loss, and even if a student hasn't, for example, experienced the death of a loved one, they've still experienced some kind of loss, and you can tap into that as you work with them to connect them to the material in the script, and in so doing, it helps them. It helps them come more to peace with their own selves. And you're right, it's a petri dish because they are willing, if you know how to tap in, they're willing to go there. I'm working on a play now that requires some real depth of emotion, and they are willing to go there. I always say if you set the bar really, really high, they'll go there. They will go as far as you set the bar.
Well, let's talk about the production that you've got happening this weekend, the Laramie Project.
Yeah.
It is a challenging work for
Absolutely.
Adults or high school students.
Extremely challenging. It's the story of the aftermath of the murder of Matthew Shepard in 1998 in Laramie, Wyoming. And instead of showing the murder, there's no character of Matthew Shepard in the play. It starts with right after his death, and it deals with his death, the effect of his death on the people of his hometown of Laramie. The play was written in a presentational style where the characters are literally talking right to the audience. And the playwrights went to Laramie and they interviewed hundreds of people and translated those interviews into this script. So you're actually hearing the words that these people spoke. And it's extraordinary because the actors, again, are looking right at the audience. And of course, my students were, what if I see somebody I know? And it's just a matter of take a deep breath, you're your character, you're telling this story, and stay there and stay with it. It's amazing. It's a really great play to be doing with them.
Well, let me ask you, in your own life, was there a key moment for you when you decided that you wanted to be an educator?
Yeah. I was a very insecure kid. By today's standards, you'd call me kind of a nerd. I loved movies. I wasn't athletic. I loved to read. I typified all of that. And then I discovered theater. And all of a sudden, after trying baseball and failing, soccer and failing, every athletic thing just about, here was something that I was good at. And I had a wonderful drama teacher, Judy Corcoran, and she really did change my life. She was extraordinary. And as my high school career went on and I was in more and more plays, I started to think, you know what, I could do this. I could do what Judy does for other students. I could be, Judy. And it was really an incredible realization because I wanted to act, I wanted to do theater, I wanted to do something artistic involving theater, but I didn't want to go to New York or Los Angeles, and all of a sudden I thought I could teach this amazing subject and do for students what she did for me, or at least try. And that's how it all happened, and I'm thrilled with where I am.
Art, how long have you been a teacher at Tucson High Magnet School?
This is my 17th year.
And are you still hearing from students from your first year?
Yeah, absolutely. Many of my students from my first years are professional actors right now, and that's been really wonderful to keep in touch with them. I have to say, Facebook has been great because all of a sudden I've got all these great students who I can keep in touch with and hear from and keep on top of what they're doing. It's really wonderful.
And I'm sure you heard from some of them when they voted for you for Teacher of the Year.
What was so great was I posted the thing about, will you vote for me? And they shared it on their pages and they got to say the things that they loved about my class. And it was really like getting a personal letter saying thank you for all you did. It's a cliche, but my heart kind of melted.
Well, Art, thank you for sharing your story with us and good luck with the Laramie Project.
Thanks very much.
Domingo deGrazia plays Spanish guitar with a passion and a unique style seasoned with a dash of flamenco. I'll interview Domingo and his musical partner, Beth Daunis, in an upcoming show. Here's a solo performance of Nuance, the title track from Domingo deGrazia's latest album. Documentary filmmaker Ken Burns' newest work is The Address, exploring the importance of Abraham Lincoln's most famous speech. Arizona Public Media asked young visitors at this year's Festival of Books to share the message of the Gettysburg Address. And here's how it turned out.
My name is Robert Salvestrini. I'm from Tucson.
My name's Hiram Allen, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hello, my name is Olivia. I live in Tucson, Arizona.
My name is Thomas.
Hi, I'm Chaya Evans.
I am Helene Zaleska, and I am 9 years old.
And I'm Maya Rose, and I'm 9 years old.
My name is Danny Allen.
Say where you're from. No, you have to say your
My
name.
name's Riley Allen, and we're from Tucson, Arizona. 407 years ago,
our fathers brought forth on this continent
a new nation
conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition
that all men are created equal.
And now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure.
We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place.
For those here gave their lives that that nation might live.
It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this.
But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate,
we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground.
The brave men living and dead who struggled here
have consecrated it
far above our poor power to add
or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here.
But it can never forget what they did here.
It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here,
that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause,
for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion.
That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain.
That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of all the people,
by the people,
for the people,
shall not perish from the earth.
Kim Burns' documentary, The Address, debuts Tuesday at 9 p.m. on PBS 6. You can visit us online at news.azpm.org to post a comment on any of our stories or keep up with the latest news. I'm Debbie Chess-Mabey. Thank you for watching AZ Illustrated Arts.